My 37-gallon tank recently developed a leak, and I decided to reseal it. It had been years since I had resealed the tank, so I referred to the King of DIY's excellent video before starting. If you haven't seen it, check out the link in the description. As luck would have it, I also had an unusual complication. By the time I had enough of a time slot in which to apply the silicone, the unseasonably warm November weather was about to end suddenly, with a snowstorm. The cold can damage a silicone seal, and I had nowhere I could cure the silicone indoors, so I found myself with an approximately 24-hour window to seal and cure the tank. Fortunately, I was able to strip some of the silicone ahead of time. I used a razor scraper to remove the old silicone. I had to try to separate the bead of silicone from the glass on each side, which took a few passes, and then pull the silicone out in strips. I then replaced the razor in the scraper before going over the tank again to remove the remnants of silicone. Next, I used rubbing alcohol on a cloth to clean the area, and then went over the area again with a cloth dampened with nail polish remover. If you've ever worked with silicone, you know it releases acetic acid, which has a strong vinegar odor, which can be harmful to breathe, so you need to work with it in a well-ventilated area. I moved the tank and the stand into the garage. The next step was to mark the areas to be siliconed with painter's tape. This is a fairly deep tank, so this wasn't very easy. I then applied GE Silicone 1 window and door, 100% silicone without mold inhibitors, with a caulking gun. Ideally, I would have preferred to use silicone approved for use with aquariums, but as I mentioned, I had a very limited time window, so I didn't have time to wait for it to ship. Once I applied the silicone, I smoothed it with my finger. Within a few minutes, I removed the tape. I made a mistake while removing one strip of tape, which unfortunately resulted in a wavy edge of silicone on the front right side of the tank. If I had had the luxury of more time to work with, I probably would have waited for the tank to cure and then restripped and reapplied the silicone, but I didn't want to wait 6 months for warm weather. After 24 hours of curing in the garage, I brought the tank indoors. As it happened, this was only an hour or two before the snowstorm, to prevent it from getting too cold. I let the tank sit indoors another 24 hours or so before test filling it. Because the weather was now too cold to fill the tank outside, I put the stand in the laundry room where there was a floor drain, just in case. I put the tank on a sheet of polystyrene, filled the tank, and let it sit for a bit more than 24 hours. I checked carefully for leaks, and fortunately, there were none. I soon had the fish back in their tank. I think next time I reseal it, I will preemptively seal it in summer. I will use black aquarium silicone, and I will definitely be more careful when removing the tape. In the meantime, at least the goldfish are back home and there are no leaks.